6 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order for the Westfield Redevelopment Commission for August 19th, 2024. David, if you would, take the roll, please.
Joe Plankus.
Here.
Brian Tomomichael.
Here.
Larry Kemper.
Here.
Brian Pulowski. Mike Steele.
Here. John Dart will be shown as absent. He will not be available for the meeting tonight or remotely. If everyone will please stand, I'd like to take the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. One note of housekeeping, if you would, if you plan to speak at tonight's public hearing, please pick up a green card and fill it out and provide it for Adam here. That would be great. Thank you very much. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the July 15th, 2024 meeting. Are there any changes or comments from the commission members in regards to the minutes? If seen none, open for motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Brian Pulowski, motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Larry Kemper, thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankus.
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the we're going to turn this over for Janelle for a brief explanation on the next item that we are going to vote on.
Yes, the next item is a single correction to the minutes that were approved. Let me get the correct date here. These are the Monday, March 18th minutes that were approved at the April meeting. And there was one typo that was discovered in these minutes, so they've been corrected here and highlighted below. The resolution number was just typed in incorrectly, and we would request that you approve this correction to those minutes.
Okay, thank you, Janelle. Any other questions for commission members? If not, I'm open for a motion for approval of the corrected minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Brian.
Second.
Second from other Brian. So, David, if you would, take the roll.
Joe Plankus.
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the executive session memorandum. Any questions from the commission members? If not, open for motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, motion and approval from two Brians. David, if you would, take the roll.
Joe Plankus.
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Actually, I need to recuse myself since I did not attend.
Okay.
Okay. Motion,
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
motion passes 3-0 with one abstention. Thank you, Larry. Next item on the agenda is the Clerk Treasurer's monthly August report. Marla?
Good evening, Commissioners.
Welcome, Marla.
Hope you can. Thanks so much. I'm hoping that this report is starting to morph into what you and Janelle have, or Director Fairman have requested from me. Just a note of explanation, and I want to apologize. I noticed that I wrote column C, but I didn't tell you what the column letters were. So column C aligns with the header, the 6/30/2024 June Treasurer's Report fund balances. And those were rolling balances that I was giving you as of the time of your meeting. And what obviously is going to be much easier is to have a beginning balance that's going to coincide with our regular reports that we do for the entire city. And then we'll be able to show you the claims that you approve in your meeting, rather than how I was doing it is I had to go back, pick up the claims you approved, and then get you an ending balance that didn't always coincide with the ending fund balance on the fund reports. So we've set ourselves up in a way now that we will be able to have No, I said 3 columns. I really think it should be 4 because I always want to include your investment balances for you, which are subject to change based on your cash flows. But that's something I'm still working on and still accepting input on, most certainly. I have had a conversation with Director Fairman about what to do, but haven't acted on that until I feel like we've got the report the way that you want it. But all that to say, your 7/31/24 total ending balance does align with the city's fund report balances of the same month ending. So if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer those for you. But again, I hope this report aligns more with what y'all had in mind.
Okay, any questions from commission members? Anything you want to add, Janelle?
Not something that I want to add, but just a question, and maybe you can cover this in future reports, but as these investments are moved out of the standard fund location and into an investment account, helping us understand how that interest is being reported back to us would also be helpful.
So there was a page 2 on the Excel sheet that I sent. It doesn't look like once it got moved into a PDF that that appeared there for you, but the breakdowns would, for accounting purposes, be applied monthly based on what is invested in the account and which of those TIF balances have invested funds, but then they'll be applied at the end of the year. So I apologize. I think maybe David may not have seen it, or I may have sent it in PDF. I can't recall when I sent it to him, but there was a page 2 there. So I'll be sure to get that to you guys for your review. Not necessarily a deal breaker on tonight, but I do have that prepared and I look forward to you guys seeing that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Sure, you bet.
Okay, thank you. Now, as far as any action, it's really not required for this particular document.
No.
But thank you, Marla, for your work here and working with Janelle and getting it closer. Greatly appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. You guys have a great night.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, next item on the agenda are claims for August 19th. Do we have any questions or comments from commission members in regards to the claims? Okay, seeing none, I'm open for a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Brian Paulowski for approval. I have a second.
Second.
Second, Larry Kemper. Brian, or David, if you'll take the roll, please.
Joe Plankis,
Aye?
Brian Tomomichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulaski.
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the ratification of Grant Park agreements. Matthew, welcome to our humble meeting.
Good evening, Commission members. As stated, Matt Trinian on behalf of Grant Park. Before you this evening are 20 standard use agreements, 3 addendums, and 3 sponsorship agreements up for ratification. I'm happy to take any questions you may have, but I ask for your approval to ratify these agreements.
Okay, I took a quick review. I didn't see anything that was out of the ordinary, Matt. So anything from any commission members? If not, open for a motion for approval of the Grant Park agreements.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, Brian Tomomichael made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Brian Paulowski. Thank you. David, if you would take the roll.
Joe Plankis,
Aye?
Brian Tomomichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulaski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Matthew, give us our great Grand Park mid-year report.
Yes, again, Matt Trinian on behalf of Grant Park. Before you this evening will be a quote-unquote state of Grant Park as of July 1st, so first 2 quarters of the year. This presentation will cover a few things, and if some of you were at the July 22nd council meeting, some of this will be repetitive. But before you will be campus wins, financial information, capital improvements made to the campus, a usage report, and visitation report. Starting off with campus wins, we were really proud to announce the sponsorship partnership with Coca-Cola. We were able to get them fully transitioned in and have seen that our visitors have taken kindly to having Coke on site. I'm I know this is kind of becoming our tagline here, but two major statistics coming out of the Hunden report that Janelle worked so hard to come through on. But we were listed as the 16th most visited sports complex, stadium, arenas, and convention centers. And to see us put on a list with some major professional and collegiate stadiums was something we were really proud of. And being the most visited in that category for the state is something certainly we're really proud of. When it comes to like facilities, we were listed as the #1 most visited sports complex over a time period. Again, something that we see on a day-to-day basis. If you're ever at Grant Park over a weekend, you can see the visitation, but to see it quantified in that data section is really powerful and something that our staff is really proud of. We were also voted the #1 sports facility for lacrosse and soccer by Sports Events Magazine, which is a major publication within the youth travel sports industry. From a financial perspective, again, I want to be mindful that this is as of July 1st, so we still have some catching up to do here. But at this time, we are just shy of $3 million of revenue, $3 million in revenue, little shy of $2 million in expenses. When we look back to 2023, same timeline, we're ahead in revenue by $100,000. We are better off in expenses by $100,000, so about a $200,000 deviation in the positive for Grant Park from 23 to 24. We also spent a little over $3.2 million in capital improvements to the facility. At the time, we had almost $3.7 million at cash balance, and that number has grown. And our investment, as you recall, Joe, you were part of the group last year a little over a year ago, where we took $3 million of cash out of our cash balance, invested it. The clerk's office has been managing that, and at the time, we were close to $3.2 million out of that $3 million investment. When we talk about capital improvements, we really broke it down into three major improvements to the facility. Working left to right, the left image is parking lot J, which sits on the southeast corner of Grant Park. If any of you have ever been to Lot J, you remember that once was location to a residential home, and over time, Grant Park had acquired that land. It then became a gravel lot that was very uneven, at some points unsafe, that we maintained regularly. Working with our Public Works Department, we came with the strategy to pave that area. We invested into more of a grand entrance into that space, and has really been a highlight, as that entrance into the Diamond side of the facility is one of the highest trafficked areas on the Diamond side of the facility. So not only were we able to pave, make the lot safer, we actually added an additional 80 spots on top of what was already there with that pavement. So we're really proud of that. The next image in the center is we finished out our strategy to replace the synthetic turf on the field sports side of the campus. So if you recall, about a year and a half ago, we replaced F2 through F5. This past offseason, we finished off F6 through F8. These commonly are used for several events, but this time of year specifically, WYSI football is heavily active on these three fields. We did stitch in lines for full-sided football, as well as 11v11 soccer. So we went with more of a durable turf in our eyes that allows us to play more hours there, and we're really excited about how that turf has performed thus far. Moving to the last picture on the right, this is a sport light project that we did in partnership with Bullpen Tournaments and Hamilton County Sports Authority and Hamilton County Tourism. We took data and really looked at how we could increase visitation, and one of the ways that we were able to do that is by adding sports lights to D6 through D9. And these sports lights have allowed us to add essentially 2 game slots to every Diamond event, which over the course of a season allowed us to increase the team count a little over 200 teams this summer. That investment itself was about $1.3 million, and again, couldn't have done it without the support of Bullpen Tournaments and Hamilton County Sports Authority and Hamilton County Tourism. So really proud of how those have performed. Get rave reviews from the athletes playing on those fields. They actually prefer those fields as opposed to our other lit fields. So we've kind of created a problem there by having nicer new stuff. But all that said, really proud of how these capital improvements have increased the visitation to the campus and furthermore have created a place that people want to continue to be at. This report takes a little explanation, but this is field utilization, again, as of July 1st. And so broken down in rows of event center, turf, field sports, grass, field sports, and diamond use. The columns on the left are the available weekends and how many of those available weekends had major event activity. It is important to note that that is major event activity. That doesn't mean on those empty weekends we had nothing. That just meant we didn't have as highly visited as a major event. And then the column on the right shows the number of hours in each of those categories. So I think as Janelle well pointed out in her presentation recently, there's a seasonality to Graham Park, and this breakdown really shows that seasonality, that the diamonds are heavily utilized within the summer months. We'll take a little bit of a lull. We'll do a abbreviated fall season, and then we'll sit pretty dormant over the winter months unless we have a field sports event. Commonly soccer will play on the outfields of our diamonds to extend the turf utilization on campus, whereas the event center gets heavily used in the winter months, and then the outdoor turf and grass has more seasonality in the fall and spring. So this just kind of broke down everything from a field usage perspective. Finally, the visitation as of July 1st, we're at 1.7 million visits to the campus, a little over 145,000 athletes, over 140 unique visitors, and just shy of 10,000 teams. One point of clarity that I wanted to ensure that I covered here is that these visitation numbers are strictly over what we operate at Graham Park. So that is the field sports side of the campus, the diamond side of the campus, and the event center. This does not include the Pacers Athletic Center, Wrights Gymnastics, and Pro X, which I think in the report that showed the over 5 million visits to the campus annually encapsulated the whole campus. So it's really important to state that there is differential there. From a city perspective, I think you have to look at it as a whole campus, including the private entity. But as we report on, we're only going to report on what we have direct impact over. Covered everything on my end. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have at this point.
Right.
Matt, you talked about the field lights and working with Hamilton County Sports. Did they financially contribute to those?
They did. They provided us a grant of $400,000, which allowed us to knock down some of that $1.3 million investment. Very, very appreciative of that from their point.
Any other questions for Matthew? I have one, and I know I'm catching you cold when I ask this. If you want to give just a brief summary, Colts camp is over now, and a few of us had the opportunity to go wave the flag on the field, which was an exciting experience, to say the least. But anything that you would like to add right now, and I know you'll have a more formal report later on.
Yeah, as mentioned, we're working to kind of finalize all the important data that we'll report on at some point. Over the course of the last 6 weeks, really proud of the team's effort that was able to work collaboratively with the Colts events team, the Colts football operations team, multiple city departments to help pull together what we believe is the best training camp in the NFL. We did have 12 open practices, one of which did get moved inside. We are, to my knowledge, the only training camp that allows people to move inside when there is inclement weather. So really proud that we're able to have that offering as a campus. But can't speak highly enough about how collaborative that event is from a city perspective. It takes multiple city departments to help pull that together. And extremely proud of my team. So training camp is done in the sense of no more fan activation. My team is currently hard at work at getting the campus back over to our quote-unquote normal operations. But I would say the overall operational period went really, really well. Really proud of how the team was able to perform over the 12 practices that were open to the public.
I spoke to one of the officials who shall remain nameless, but he indicated that this camp is probably the best camp in the NFL, not only from a team standpoint, but from a fan standpoint. A lot of the clubs don't even have fans come to any kind of a activity at their summer camp. So,
Yeah, really proud of that. It's always really great to hear as they exit the building that they are disappointed to leave. They have phenomenal facilities at 56th Street, but when they're disappointed to leave our home, that says that we're doing something right. So really proud of that.
and they were very complimentary. I know Chris Ballard spoke at a press conference after the first practice and had a lot of accolades for all the volunteers and Westfield Welcome, as well as the police safety side. And it's a great accolade from the top level, if you will. For the
Couldn't do
efforts
it
that you
without
guys put
everyone's help.
together.
Yeah,
And that's
couldn't-
appreciated. Thank you, Matt.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Executive Director report, Janelle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to give you a brief update on where we are right now with the Grand Park Area Master Plan process. We had talked at the last couple meetings, about the process that we had gone through, creating some initial images throughout the Hunden study. And you've seen this image before, which was a rendering put together by MKSK about a concept. This is really just a notion of what could be occurring south of 186th Street, adjacent to Grand Park. And we've taken some of these ideas that were brought into that process with Hunden, and then we have moved forward with a group, Spec Dempsey out of Boston, as well as Perkins and Will from their Atlanta and Boston offices. And we're really starting to kind of dive into the details of what a redevelopment plan would look like around Grand Park, including some of the land at Grand Park south of the event center. So this is, again, a repeat of what you've seen before. We're looking to target some industries, including entertainment, so opportunities where you can be both dining and have something that you're being entertained by at the same time. Retail, agritourism, sports tech, specifically looking at some opportunities to do a sports tech innovation hub on campus, family entertainment, and hotels. Following the announcement of FIFA coming in 2026, we do have highlighted interest in doing some further study on full-service hotels, particularly because there is a partnership between Grand Park and the Renaissance in Carmel to provide the housing that would be necessary for the FIFA teams, because we do not have that full-service hotel here on our campus. Looking for opportunities for vibrant mixed-use districts. This would be more walkability, more focus on opportunities for people to have interesting, meaningful walks in between the places they park and the places that they're visiting on the Grand Park campus. And then really giving people that all-inclusive opportunity to enjoy their visit when they come to Grand Park in between games. So this was the initial highlighted plan that we were talking about. I want to reinforce that we have two areas here. Area A, north of 186th Street, which is what I keep referring to as the Grand Park proper. Everything that is included, that 186th to 191st Street area of Grand Park. Looking for opportunities to redevelop from the event center all the way down through 186th Street, keeping in mind that we do have some we have some existing retention ponds, we have a gas easement, and we have 2 fields located within that site, as well as quite a bit of parking. So looking at opportunities where we can redevelop it, then also retain the functionality that we have existing. We have area south of 186th Street, which is owned by Henke Development Group, east of Grand Park Boulevard, and D&W Farms west of Grand Park Boulevard. And we are working with them as stakeholders because they are landowners of that area to help come up with ideas of what that development could look like, inspired by the concept plan that is inserted here. We held our first workshop in July, and we are currently reviewing some initial concepts that have been provided by the design team, and we'll be providing some initial feedback to them in early September so that we can prepare for a second workshop in October. And I have some examples of some of the output of that I'll show you here in just a moment. November will be our draft master plan for review internally, and then we're hoping to have that final completion of the plan in January, ready and presented for adoption. So here are some of the outcomes that we had from that first workshop. These were wish lists that came from the various stakeholders looking for opportunities to increase our sports exposure. So not only places for people to play sports, but for people to watch and experience sports in different ways. We keep hearing over and over again that there's an opportunity for an ice arena. This was supported by the Hunden study, really trying to create those experiences that balance out our tourism throughout the year. As Matt had referred to earlier today, we do have this seasonality to Grand Park. You have a couple dozen baseball fields and then you don't use them during the winter, you're obviously going to have a bit of a lull during the off season. So having that opportunity for ice, which really does drive more usage in the wintertime, would help balance out our use, not only of Grand Park, but then also support of the hotels, restaurants, and other businesses in the area for a more balanced economic participation of the public. Also, the possibility of having a multi-purpose stadium on the campus. 10,000 seats seems to be where we are kind of aiming as an initial target. We're still evaluating whether this is something that fits from an economic standpoint, but if it were to be used, the intent would be that we could use it for soccer, lacrosse, football, and really have some great opportunities for people to come and experience some of those keystone events. Residential, looking at hotel options, multifamily apartments and townhomes, again, creating that variety in that place, having places where people can live if they're looking for a short-term lease, but then also having that permanent residence opportunity available through townhomes. Looking for entertainment options. This is large, small, outdoor, indoor, really creating those unique experiences and a variety so that it keeps people engaged. Connections to the Monon Trail, we'll get that typo corrected there. Opportunities to engage with a canal or waterfront, and I have a section here that I'm going to show in just a bit that shows some of the challenges and opportunities associated with that. Open spaces and plazas. My inspiration kind of stemming from the experiences that happened downtown Indianapolis around these big events that happen near the convention center. Georgia Street kind of turns into this celebratory opportunity where you can have food trucks, you can have DJs, you can have this like short celebration that really brings people together for maybe it's a couple hours or a couple days. And then also integrating office. One thought that came to the group holistically is the need for parents who are traveling to have drop-in spaces where they can do work when they're traveling. We know that most of the parents that are bringing their children to Grand Park are probably employed. At least one of the parents is likely employed, and creating those drop-in zones, whether it's coffee shops or flexible working spaces, co-working spaces, where people can join a conference call or be able to meet with maybe even local investors or local business owners here, and then focusing on the advancements of sports technology in and around Grand Park. Here's an initial updated concept that was proposed. I will say this will not be what it ends up looking like at the end. This is just an update that incorporates some of the ideas that we had brainstormed throughout the week. You can see that we have a new Monon Trail connection being proposed that would bring that central area south of 186th Street up in through Grand Park, create an opportunity where people can bike, use alternative transportation options to get into that business district, entertainment district. And then you can see articulated through here, if I can get the mouse to work, this is where the gas easement runs through the site. So trying to figure out what the best way is to work around that gas easement and still have a district that makes sense and looks cohesive and feels cohesive to everyone. It's a combination of surface and structured parking, some opportunities for possibly an ice facility, which you can see is currently shown here at 186th and Grand Park Boulevard, but you can see that that could easily, from a size perspective, be swapped out with other blocks throughout the district if it made sense from a logistics standpoint that we would want to have it someplace else within the park. Looking for some entertainment venues, some opportunities for some dining along this canal or lake, and then, of course, as I had talked about previously, this connectivity from the western portion to the eastern portion of this waterway, and pedestrian connectivity to the north across 186th Street. Interestingly, we're also studying, and you can't see it very well in this image, but right here we have a pinch point that is being proposed by the design team along 186th Street that would narrow the road in that particular area in order to slow traffic down so that pedestrians could cross 186th Street more safely. This is just a high-level view of some of the adjacencies that are being considered. It's really hard to kind of keep in mind what the scale is of Grand Park because it is so massive. So having this 5-minute walk perimeter, which is the circle that is located here. So from the center point of, or I guess it's really the, let's call it home plate of the championship ball diamond right here, you have a 5-minute radius. Takes 5 minutes to walk up to the event center from there, another 5 minutes to walk down. So you think about 10-minute walks, someone that is experiencing an event at the Grand Park Event Center within 10 minutes can get all the way to the southern portion of the site and then really cross the street and be able to experience some of the things to the south in that 10 to 15-minute time frame. I have a few cross sections here that I thought were interesting. The original concept that I had shared from the MKSK rendering, which was part of the Hunden study, really contemplated that that plan was somewhat flat. And when we started to look at the topography and the water level of the lake that was on the east side of Grand Park Boulevard compared to the land height that we had on the west side of Grand Park Boulevard, it became apparent that we would really need to start planning for kind of like a dual level first floor, where you have on the upper level the main street level. This would be out at 186th Street, or it could be further south. And then as you come around the side of the building, you do have a step down where you really have a front door that is also down one level, and that would be interacting more with that canal level. This is an early option of what could be anticipated through what we're calling currently the central spine. I'm sure that it'll have a great name once we actually work through the final plans on this, but creating a multimodal transit opportunity. This is, just to give you a rough idea of scale, this is about 20 feet wider than the Monon Boulevard section in Midtown Carmel. So if you're familiar with Midtown Plaza and all the amenities that are there along the Midtown Monon section, again, an additional 20 feet. And this is intentional. Part of the reason that we're making it larger is to create some opportunities for some large destinations within the center of this cross-section. So I think one of the pieces of feedback that I will probably be providing is to take these bike lanes and move them out towards the sidewalk so that we have more opportunity within the center of this section to create some destinations. These could be sports themes, they could be music, we could have stages, playgrounds, water features. Really, the opportunities are endless, but having that additional 20 feet really gives us some flexibility. And then this would be a more standard street section. Again, we have a wider sidewalk, 15 feet is shown here, in addition to a tree planting area. And then we'd have parking lanes along each side of each street coming through this area. So just wanted to share some of those early concepts. And I'm happy to answer any questions or go backwards to find some other opportunities to show you pictures.
Thank you, Janelle. Any questions for Janelle in regards to her presentation?
Your standard street, is that what you'd be looking at doing on 186 as well to kind of slow that cross traffic down?
That one is different. I did not provide an image of that in this version, but I'm happy to provide that to you. I just felt like it was a little overwhelming to send to everything all today.
And then my other question is, what exactly is the difference between a full-service hotel and like the other hotels we already have?
Sure. I am not a hotel expert, so I'm going to do my best, but I'll get better answers from Hunden that I can report back to you guys. But full service would include more. So what we have currently is I don't know how many stars or what the service level is of those hotels, but a Renaissance would be a full service where they do have a concierge and they have a restaurant and they have valet and they would have the housekeeping. Of course, everybody has housekeeping, laundry services. Really those, what you would see at a Marriott would be a full service versus what we have is typically more a Spring Hill Suites or Renaissance Inn, or it's one step down from full service. Yeah. I can get a better definition, but that's the best I can give you.
Okay.
That works. I just realized what I stay in all the time. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Janelle. Any other questions for Janelle? Thank you very much.
All right,
Good
thank you.
report. Appreciate that. Okay, next item is old business. First item is the 2024 budget and cash flow. Janelle, why don't you lead us off on that?
Yes, the long-awaited 2024 budget, which we have pushed off for a few meetings so that we could get this right. And I do have Oscar here from Bondry, and he can talk through this for you, but at a high level, I want to kind of explain what we have here. And just as a reminder, this is the 2024 budget, despite the fact that we are 8 months into 2024. We had a few changes that happened within our financial, I would say, our not just our system, but we have new funds that were created. So we had to kind of get a feeling for where we were going to be spending money out of those new funds versus the previously existing TIF funds. So we did put this on pause so that we could get all of those plans put together. So you will see Fund 243, this RDC General Fund. The first one, we are not planning to spend any money. We don't have any assets within that fund this year. That would be for general operations of redevelopment. And then the second fund is 244, and this is the RDC Capital Fund. This is where a majority of the expenditures would be allocated for redevelopment work in new TIF areas. So you will see that some of the money that was spent in TIF areas for the first half of the year will now be allocated towards this 244 account for the second half of the year. So I just wanted to preface that before letting Oscar take over.
Thank you, Janelle. For the record, Oscar Gutierrez, Boundary Consulting, Municipal Advisor to the RDC. With me online on a Teams call is Alex Stanley, also with Boundary Consulting. Alex, are you on?
Yes, I'm here, Oscar.
All right. Well, hopefully you all got a chance to look at this, so I don't want to go fund by fund, but the bigger highlights that I want to point out to you is historically, the RDC has operated as consolidated TIF, which this is not. So one of the tasks Janelle wanted, she wanted to have a separation per area to allocate expenses for legal or other purposes as they would arise, which led to the two funds that she already covered, and also allowed us to better manage some of the payments that are larger in size, such as the bond payments. So I want to give a quick example of that. And Alex, where should I go to? Which allocation would be a good one to kind of demonstrate the...
You could keep it on this one, any of the big four that you just passed through, but East Side would be a good one.
So on east side, as you can see, the 800, these are usually done semi-annually. So this would have been a payment done this year, and a consequent payment would have been made in December. That payment was moved out of east side because the cash was getting pretty tight for an area that Janelle's got a lot of focus. So those payments from that would have been made in December were moved. And
The Spring Mill, one more.
there we go. To Spring Mill. So there's a lot of samples like this where this allowed the administration to better dictate where funds were coming out of. One of the reasons why this was chosen, as you can tell, there's a significantly larger cash balance in a fund like Spring Mill that is not getting as much use as something on the east side or anything remotely close to downtown, and that was the thought behind these. But everything else is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, happy to go through any of the funds. A question was brought up by the RDC president prior to this about the discrepancy between the collections in June and the projections in December. And to our, many reasons to do that. But Alex, you want to take this one real quick?
Yeah, so you have Grand Junction up on the screen, and the 1.59 million number in June is the actual amount that was collected in that area. And for the year, because we estimate TIF on an annual basis based on actual assessed values and the tax rate. So our estimate is just over $3 million. So the 1.59 that came in is slightly higher than 50%, and that's likely due to taxpayers that paid their full tax bill for the year upfront in June. There's a chance that it could be because of delinquencies and fees from that, but we want to stick with the conservative approach. So we manually adjusted the December amount to tie to what we're anticipating each area will receive for the year. And if Grand Junction, for example, collects a little more than 1.42 in December, then that's great. But we did not want to assume that December came in higher than our estimates like it did in June.
But those are the main highlights. Happy to go in much more detail over any of the areas that you would like to discuss, but rather than going and repeating myself over and over again.
Okay, thank you, Oscar. The one item I had was on the Capital Fund 244. You've got 13.348 million, and what I think would be, for transparency and for better understanding, is to list where those numbers come from. Is it monies that's come back from the council, et cetera? What are the sources of those funds so that we have a little better idea?
Yeah, and thank you. And I did get a chance to speak to Director Fairman, and that is two sources. It was $12.9 million from city funds, and the remainder coming in from tourism, Hamilton County Tourism. Thank you. So we can make a note down here to just annotate.
My suggestion,
the revenue.
talking with Oscar earlier, was a brief note down here with a asterisk, whatever, just to indicate where the tie-in is for those dollars coming in.
Not a problem. And
would be helpful. Okay, any questions from commission members?
Oscar, I'm assuming the TIF administration includes our legal fees in that line?
yes, that is, where are we looking at in here?
It's on a couple of them.
Yeah, that's just what we're so it is not
If you
necessary.
go to Grand Junction, Oscar, that's a good example.
There we go. Alex, you want to kind of cover how you broke these actuals and then projecteds?
Yes, yep. So January through July are actual TIF administration, and that would include legal, any municipal advisor services, all of that. We kind of put in bundle under the TIF administration label. And then August through December, Janelle had provided an estimate for the year end, and I just split that evenly within each month since we aren't sure exactly what that number will look like yet.
And then my other question was just legality of the TIF side of things. So we're able to move a bond payment from East Side to Spring Mill, even though I'm assuming when we issued it, it was probably dedicated to,
Yes,
I guess, can you just walk through that?
Yes, so the determination was the legal one, not a financial one, but legally, because the bond, what those bonds were issued for were for the benefit of the entire city. Any TIF allocations within the city would be allowed to pay for the benefit of the citywide general benefit. Did I say that right, lawyers, kind of? I tried to lawyer it up, and I think I messed it up.
Oh, and Oscar, I'll just add that the payments that are being shifted around are actually lit bonds. So the primary source that was pledged is lit from the city, and the RDC has historically used TIF to make these payments. We're just kind of shifting around which area is being used to pay those debt service payments. So Oscar, if you want to flip to like Eagletown, for example, there are multiple on that one. Main Street would work too. So on Eagletown, it was up, but you can just stop on one of the other ones. East Side works too. Yeah, so East Side there. For East Side, it has a 2017 TIF bond, and that one does have a pledge specifically from East Side allocation area. So that is one, all of the payments are coming from that TIF, and that's the plan going forward. The only ones that we've really shifted around are on the lit bonds. So the East Side, that one has the 2018 lit bond coming out of it, and historically it's been the full payment. And in talks with Janelle, we determined that it made sense because of some of the areas, like Oscar mentioned, Spring Mill is generating $1.2 million annually and has no debt service being paid out of it or any other expenses. So because there are projects and other things downtown that East Side can be used for, it makes more sense for those payments to come out of an area like Spring Mill that's generating money and not being used for anything else.
Thank you. And then my last more request is, cash flows are nice, but is there any way we could get like a more detailed, like revenue expense of all the funds, just like the annual total, instead of flipping through 15 pages? Like just,
Summary?
yeah, just like a summary page of the like annual.
We'll make it available to Janelle, and she'll pass it on to you. But we do have that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Oscar or Janelle in regards to the budget? Looks like you need a little bit more work yet to kind of fine tune it. Is there anything we need to take action on tonight, Janelle?
Does this have to be approved? Do you guys know? Do we need an actual approval? Of last year's? Yes. Okay, okay. So we could either approve this version of it and we can send a summary of this as a follow-up, or I can come back next month with Mondry's updated summary page, and then we could vote to approve it then.
Okay.
So I'll leave it up to you.
Commission members, want to wait for the summary? Let's do that. Okay, that'll be
Okay.
fine. Okay, thank you very much. Good work. Next item under old business is Resolution 19-2024 regarding amendments to declaratory resolution, Grand Junction EDA, and creation of the Park Street TIF allocation area. Janelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. These two old business EDA TIF allocation action items are being reintroduced because we had some modifications to the Grand Junction EDA that came to our attention after we had created a declaratory resolution over the summer, and because East Side is contingent upon Grand Junction, because there were some parcels coming out of Grand Junction going into East Side, they are both being reintroduced as old business. So the only one that has new information here is Grand Junction. So we have a series of maps here, and I'm going to shrink this just a bit so we can see a little bit better. This is parcels being added and removed from the EDA and TIF allocation area for Grand Junction. And the areas in red are being removed. The areas in blue are existing. And then we have a few areas in green which are being added. And we have enlarged views here. So as you can see, the areas that we're adding to the EDA include a number of parcels along the north side of State Road 32, which we see as opportunities for redevelopment. And then we also have some areas south of State Road 32 that, again, we anticipate will be part of redevelopment. We're already starting to see between Jersey Street and Park Street conversions of older homes into restaurants and other commercial properties. And so these are residential homes that some of them have already been rezoned, some of them have not, but this gives us an opportunity to include them holistically into those TIF areas. And then we are removing a number of areas that you can see in red, particularly you can see this grouping here, which is part of Grand Junction Plaza. There's no reason for us to be including a TIF area within a city park, so we're removing those. And then we're also removing a few parcels that would be included in other declaratory resolutions that we would be introducing either today or in the future. Just one more removal, and this is up near Wheeler Landing, 181st Street, and I think this is Spring Mill. This particular parcel is being removed because there are 3 parcels that are all contiguous here, which are going to be replatted by Wheeler Landing into a new development. And in order for them to replat, they all have to be in a single TIF area. So we are removing the parcel that is in the Grand Junction TIF area, and we will later today be introducing that parcel as an addition to the Wheeler Landing TIF area. Another leftover piece that we're just adding in. And then this is a new allocation area, the Park Street allocation area, which will be provided within the Grand Junction EDA. Again, this provides for redevelopment opportunities within that block. It includes the H Steakhouse, which we have talked about previously this year. Bub's Burgers is located here at this corner. Becky the Bakester is, I think, this one right here, maybe the one right next to it. So again, a lot of opportunities where we have these older homes that are being converted to businesses, and creating the TIF allocation area will allow that increment to be used towards improvements in our downtown, whether that be additional parking or improvements to Park Street or other improvements that improve their experience for those businesses. And then these are, same thing, just a wider view of the map. I think maybe we have a duplication in here on our exhibits. We can fix that before we bring this back for confirmatory. I think those are just the same. Happy to answer any questions that you have about the proposed changes.
Okay, any questions for Janelle, team?
Page 21, and I think we talked maybe the homes on the north side. With this, are we saying we expect those to go commercial at some point?
They could go commercial at some point. We have not started our redevelopment planning for the downtown area, but I believe the expectation is that from Penn Street south would very likely be converted to commercial, whether it's redevelopment of larger assemblies of parcels or just one building at a time. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, any other questions for Janelle? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion for approval of Resolution 19-2024?
Motion approved.
Okay, motion by Brian. I'll second that motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulaski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 20-2024 regarding amendments to declaratory resolution, East Side EDA.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is the same declaratory resolution that was presented earlier this year. And I will show you the enlarged views here. These parcels, this is the Midland Trace Trail running right through here. These 2 parcels were in the declaratory resolution for Grand Junction as being removed. Same with these 2 parcels here on the south side of Midland Trace Trail. We are combining all of these into the East Side EDA because they will all be part of a future project that we'll be bringing forward in front of you later this year or early next. And then this parcel right here, we are including in the East Side EDA because it is contemplated that this could all be part of a future redevelopment area as well. So while we were fixing East Side, we thought we would bring that parcel in at the same time. Oh, and there we have an enlarged view of the same parcels. And these are just existing no changes in these images. Happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Janelle? If not, open for a motion for approval of Resolution 20-2024.
Make a motion.
Thank you. Brian, second?
Second.
Second by Larry Kemper. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is new business. Action item number 1, Resolution 21-2024 regarding 202 Penn Street, accepting grant from the city. Janelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolutions 21 and 22 are both tied together with the same property. We have a piece of land that is currently being leased to Paris Insurance Group by the Downtown Westfield Association, and has been owned by the city of Westfield. And the owner of that business would like to purchase the property, and the city does not have any plans to do any further redevelopment of that block, and so has agreed to sell this piece of property. And we are going through a series of transfers. The first was that the city has approved granting that property to the RDC. And so we are asking for the RDC to first accept the grant of that property and then to grant that property to the Downtown Westfield CDC. And the CDC would then do that transaction and sell the land to the owner, or to the future owner, the current tenant. So this first one is the acceptance of that grant, and then Resolution 22 will be a new grant to the Downtown Westfield CDC.
Okay.
So
any questions?
I'm asking for you to only take action on one at a time.
Yes. Okay. Any questions for Janelle? If not, open for a motion for approval.
Motion approved.
Okay, Brian, second?
Second.
Got a second from Brian Michael. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 22-2024.
Yep, and this is the grant of the land to Downtown Westfield Community Development Corporation.
Okay, I think explanations been made. Any questions for Janelle? If
Janelle,
not-
I think you said earlier, can you just confirm that the price is set based on the average 2 appraisals?
Yes, the price is the average of 2 appraisals.
Very good. Good question, Brian. Thank you. I move that we approve Resolution 22-2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Larry Kemper. Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, next item we're going to have Matt Deck speak to us about the GPSE selection.
And I believe we're going to open this as the public hearing prior to him providing his comments
Oh,
and recommendations.
okay.
Is that correct? Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. We stand corrected then. For those who would like to speak on this public hearing, please make sure you filled out a card with Adam. Do you have any cards?
Yes, we do. We have cards up here, but I think the point, Commissioner, is that we're looking at opening the public hearing. Matt Deck's presentation will be at the start of the public hearing.
Okay.
And that there'll be, after the presentation, commentary from the commissioners. There's an opportunity for public comment as part of the public hearing after that presentation.
Okay, thank you for the
That way
clarification.
we
Adam.
ensure this is all on the record.
Okay, so we will open up the public hearing at 6:59.
All right, thank you very much. For the record, Matthew Deck, Director of Facilities and Events for the City of Westfield, to talk about the future selection of GPSE to operate Grand Park. A couple of thank yous to start the presentation. You guys heard from Matt Trinian earlier. He and his team have done an outstanding job of operating that park for the last several years, and the teams before him also have done a wonderful job. And because of that, we have been in a position where we could go out and seek other potential opportunities to help advance the park into the future, and that could not have been done without Matt and the rest of his team and all the work that they have done. Special thanks to the Operations Review Committee, of which you have a member right up there. They spent countless hours reviewing the different proposals over an extended period of time, and we believe have done an excellent job in making a recommendation. Larry Clarino, Chuck Lehman, Dan Moyer, Troy Patton, and Brian Tomamichael. So why GPSC? The GPSC bid was the only one that allowed retaining ownership of Grand Park while an operator will use their own resources to take the park into the future. GPSC is a joint venture between Bullpen Tournaments and Indy Sports and Entertainment, who owns the Indy 11, both of which have depth of knowledge and understanding of Grand Park and have contributed to its success in the past. GPSC also brings the development and real estate expertise of the Keystone Realty Group. GPSC's existing relationships with the NCAA, FIFA, Big Ten Conference, Horizon League, IHSAA, United Soccer League, Major League Soccer, and the MLB will lead to future opportunities, as we have already seen with the potential of Westfield and Grand Park becoming a base camp site for the 2026 World Cup. GPSC brings an exciting vision for the park and the expertise to ensure Grand Park remains the premier destination for youth sports. GPSC will be making guaranteed annual payments that will more than double the current profit at Grand Park. And the city will no longer pay for standard maintenance or operations costs and can use revenue generated to invest in a Grand Park Village or other investments in the city. Partnering with GPSC will allow for the continuation of allowing Westfield residents free admission. And GPSC will continue to partner with WYSI, even allowing for an increase in diamond and field usage. Aligning with GPSC allows the city to unwind difficult contracts that would be impossible to do with another organization. So, in closing, we appreciate your consideration for this resolution, allowing for GPSC to take over operations at the Grand Park Sports Campus. Any questions?
Okay. I don't have anything, Janelle or Adam, that you want to add to that?
I don't think so from us at this time.
Okay. Very good. And we'll continue on with the public hearing. And is there anyone that would like to speak to this particular resolution?
And Commissioner, just a note, I think it's been standard practice in the past, so assuming it continues to be standard practice, that public comment, we provide everybody 3 minutes to provide that public comment.
Correct. Thank you very much.
You can, but if you want to wait till after, you're up here.
Okay.
Just state your name and address. We'll catch up on the paperwork after the fact.
Okay, thank you. Linda Nass, 1122 East 161st Street, former member of the RDC. I was on the RDC when we put out the RFP and started following through with committees and what have you. On this resolution and the information available, and I did finally get copies of this at 4:15 this afternoon. This and all the other proposals were not available prior to today. I don't know if anyone else asked, but per the notice in the paper, they were supposed to have been available on the 12th through today. And when I went in at 10, they kindly copied them all for me. Some of the people who presented these I saw said that they wanted it to remain private. But in speaking on this, one question I have when I look at the resolution is that in this proposal, they have listed it as Bullpen Ventures, but I see on this it says Bullpen Tournaments, and I know Ken has different organizations, so I hope that gets corrected to whichever it really should be. We do not have a public-private agreement. All we have is wanting to approve this group as the operator. And actually, we did that, I thought, on December 19th, when Mayor Cook had that big meeting out at Grand Park and announced them at that time. And it was questioned by some people at that time, including myself, but where's the agreement? But it was explained that that would come by April 1st, and then it was said if it didn't come by April 1st, it would come by the end of the Colts camp, and we are here now. But as the public, and going per the 523 codes, I was expecting to see the public-private agreement, because the notice is on the recommendation to award the public-private agreement. The proposals and explanation, inspection and copying, that was finally made available today. But where is and when do we get to see this agreement? And when, another thing on here was that the term under 523.61, the term can only be 5 years. There has special steps if you want it beyond that, and I think their proposal was for like 40 years. So I don't know that that's a good idea. I don't believe it is to go in for 40 years in an original agreement. So I would like to see more of the public-private agreement. Also on the second page of the resolution, which pretty much looks like what was at the council last week, but it authorizes, the commission authorizes the city executive and staff acting in consultation with legal and on behalf of the city to negotiate, finalize, and execute the PPA. I don't recall that that was what was in the RFP. That was the process. I don't think that that really agrees with what's in the 523. So what I would ask that that be seriously looked at. And then the other comments would be in number 4, other actions, it says.
We're at 3 minutes, Linda.
Oh,
Thank you
sorry.
very much.
But we're ratifying,
We're at 3
confirming, and
minutes,
approving
Linda.
things that we haven't
Or a
seen.
minute. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in regards to this public hearing? Adam, if you would.
Yeah, and Commissioner, just a couple of clarifications as it relates to process. We will take the comments and check with Cam Starr's staff here, who's representing the city on the PPA, to make sure we have the correct entities, and if there's been a change, we know why. But a couple of just quick clarifying comments. First, it's common practice, you have to have a selection and award before you go through the process of negotiating and executing a PPA. So that's not only, in our view, consistent with the statute, but consistent with long-stated and established practice throughout the state of Indiana over the last probably decade. In terms of the term, the agreements less than 5 years don't require approval by the council. Agreements for more than 5 years require council approval. So that's consistent with the language which you see in the resolution, which notes that the PPA will ultimately go forward for council approval as well. So just a couple of clarifying comments there, so everybody's, I think, clear in terms of the process and ultimately, in our view, what the statute requires.
Okay. Thank you. If there are no other speakers, then we will close the public hearing at 7:08. Questions for Adam or Janelle in regards to the resolution from any commission members? Okay, hearing none, I'm open for a motion for approval of Resolution 23-2024 in regards to the GPSE selection.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Brian Tom Michael. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Pawlowski. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pawlowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 24-2024, amendments to declaratory resolution, Wheeler Landing WFEDA. Janelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is amendments to Wheeler Landing EDA, which I had alluded to earlier in our conversation today. This is one item, which is the incorporation of the Grand Grand Junction EDA parcel that was part of the earlier declaratory resolution. This parcel right here to the east is already included in Wheeler Landing, and then there is a third parcel here that was in no TIF area at all. Those are now all being proposed to be included within Wheeler Landing so that they can be assembled into a single parcel for development. And then there is another parcel that is located up here north of 181st Street, which has been requested by the developer to be included. This was a parcel that had not been annexed into the city at the time that Wheeler Landing was created, and they would like to have that included in the TIF area. So those are the only proposed changes to Wheeler Landing.
Okay, any questions for Janelle? Okay, if not, I'm open for a motion for approval of Resolution 24-2024.
Motion approved.
Brian Pawlowski, motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Larry Kemper. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis.
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pawlowski.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 25-2024, amendments to declaratory resolution, 146th Street, Westfield EDA, and creation of the town-run TIF allocation area. Janelle?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is an amendment to the town-run ED, oh, this is a new ED, I'm sorry, let me start over. This is an amendment to the town, 146th Street, Westfield, too many names here, 146th Street, Westfield EDA, and we are proposing within that EDA, which is being modified with these two parcels added to it, to have an additional town-run allocation area created, which again includes those two parcels, which will be used as a single site allocation area for a project agreement that we will be bringing to you later this year. And we do have the developers here today if you'd like to ask them any questions about their development. But in general, what's being proposed here is a Lifetime Fitness and some elevated, I would say, neighborhood retail. So looking at a couple buildings that would have some retail, including restaurant. They would be building a gazebo, much like a trailhead, except that this is just along one of the multi-use paths rather than one of our recognized trails. They would have additional multi-use paths throughout the development and some enhanced architecture and site lighting that is above and beyond what is required by code. So again, just creating the single site allocation area to help enable redevelopment for this particular group of parcels.
Okay, if they would like to step forward and make any comments, you're open to do that.
Yeah, we have Adam Hill from Lore Corp here to represent the developer.
Hi, Adam
Thank
Hill
you.
with Lore Corporation. How are you?
Thank you, Adam.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Maybe you
Thank
can
you.
give us some clarification on your project. That'd be great.
Yeah, so we bought this parcel almost 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. We worked very, very diligently on one project. We ended up pulling that project. It was mostly more residential in nature. And we went back to the drawing board, linked up with Lifetime Fitness. We were able to secure that deal with Lifetime in addition to building a retail building out in front. The retail building will have we have some beautiful pictures. I don't know if you have any of those potentially. That's okay.
Not for today's, but we will
Yeah.
for future.
Yeah, in the future, we'll show you some pictures, but there's a lot of things that we're doing there that are not your standard retail development. We think the whole area is a gateway into Westfield, not only from Carmel, but also from Zionsville to the west. We want to make it feel that way versus just a standard retail development. So there's a lot of things that we're doing that are in addition to what you typically would require us to do. And so I think once you see the images and you see some of those things, it's really a overall special development.
Okay, obviously you have a few steps to go through with APC and a few other folks in the process.
Sure.
Okay, any questions for Adam? If not, I'm open for a motion for approval of Resolution 25-2024.
A motion approved.
Brian Pawlowski, motion, second? Just yell,
second.
Larry.
I'll second.
Okay. Technical problem. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulaski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate your input.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other business, next regular meeting will be Monday, September 16th at 2 p.m. Anything you want to add, Janelle or Adam?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Nope, nothing else to add. Thank you.
Okay, very good. With that, meeting adjourned. 7:15. Yep. Nobody go away, gang, because we got papers to sign.